be no harsher environment in the world than the Arctic. The extreme cold makes it an inhospitable place for most plants and animals. But for a few unique species, it's an ideal place to live, hunt, and lay around. To call this frozen wasteland home, you need to develop amazing ways to keep warm. And one blubbery behemoth has found the key to thriving in the Great White North. But defying your environment to survive against the odds is how some animals make it in life, death, and taxonomy. Welcome for the first time to Season 8 of Life, Death, and Taxonomy.
Hooray!
I'm Joe.
I'm Carlos.
And today we're talking about a big blubbery boy with wonderful whiskers with which they wade around in the water.
With their whiskers?
Yeah. I was
Willingly?
For sure. Okay. Yeah, I wanted to... Wade is not the correct word.
No.
But it starts with a W, so there it goes.
Wallow.
Wallow around in the water?
Yep. There you go. It's a walrus.
A walrus. Okay.
It's the walrus.
It's the walrus.
We're going to call him Wally Whiskers.
Yeah.
Or Sabertooth Puppy Whale.
They've made the news recently.
Have they?
Yeah.
I've not been paying attention.
Well, the new Netflix nature documentary, Our Planet, talks about how changing environmental problems have caused certain walrus populations to, like, climb cliffs and fall off.
Well, then we're weeding out the dumb ones.
Because they're not very... Well, it's the problem is they can't see real good.
Yeah, they have bad eyes.
So they can hear water, but they're on a cliff. So they're like, let me just go into the water. And then it's like a big drop to their plummeting death. Very sad, but worth a watch. The whole documentary, not just
Not
that
just
part.
not just the lemmings part.
Yes.
But yeah, we are talking about the walrus. And when we first started researching this, I was about to ask you, like, which walrus? There's only one walrus. I mean, there are two subspecies, but really there's only one species of walrus.
Yeah.
I was like, huh. So, we're going to start with a kingdom that we know, love, and are in. Kingdom Animalia.
Yes.
The phylum is Chordata. Because somewhere beneath all of those folds lies a spine.
Lies in wait.
to spine you. To support you.
Yes. It's an ambush supporter.
The class is Mammalia. We're talking about... Are cetaceans a taxonomical term or a term for any ocean-dwelling mammal?
I have no idea.
I'm going to go with the first thing. I think cetacean is a taxonomical thing. So we're not going to call it a cetacean. But we will call it a pinniped in a second. Because first we're going to call it a carnivore. Because it's order Carnivora.
Nice.
The clade is Pinnipedia. Or Pinnipedia. That
sounds like a place you go to learn more about, like, pins.
Yeah, it's Pinnipedia. it's Wikipedia just about Ant-Man's mentor, Hank Pym.
It's Pym.
No, it's Pin, but still. So pinnipeds are seal-looking things, seals and things.
Dugongs?
It's my favorite store, seals and things. You know what? I did not look up if, like, manatees are
dugongs.
I don't think they are because they can't go on land.
True.
So this is seals. Yeah, it's not because there are true seals, aka earless seals, and then there are eared seals, and those are like sea lions, and then there are walruses.
If you look up a walrus skeleton, it looks like a cartoon saber-toothed dog.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't look like a big chunky flipper boy. It looks like it has, like, 4 limbs.
Because it does.
And it's just oddly shaped, like a cartoon dog.
It's a saber-toothed puppy whale.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
You didn't do it?
Yeah, I did.
Your nicknames.
I said Wally Whiskers and saber-toothed puppy
whale.
whale.
Oh, it just went by so fast.
You steamrolled right over me. So where were we? Oh yeah, the clade is Pinnipedia. The family is Odobenidae. Odomabenidae. Odobenidae. We'll say that. The genus is Odominus Rex. The species is Rosemaris. So I was like, was his name by Catholics? Rosemary? Not true. That comes from an Old Norse word. In fact, Tolkien thought that the word walrus came from the Old Norse word for horse whale.
That's not a bad,
there are better
assumption.
ones. I like dog whale is better than horse whale.
But those whiskers, it's very horsish. Because
Not really.
Horses have those.
You know how horses are known for their mustaches?
Some horses do have mustaches.
Do they?
Yeah.
Never seen one.
They're literal,
horse.
curly mustaches.
On by accident?
I don't know.
But it could also, the word walrus could also come from the Dutch word for whale, which is walvis. Walvis.
Like that's pretty dang close.
Or the words for shore giant, wall, and reus, which is wall is shore, and then reus is giant.
That one's also compelling.
Yeah, shore giant's pretty great.
Sure, giant.
And there are two subspecies: the Atlantic and the Pacific walrus. And those are based on whether it is in the Atlantic or the Pacific Ocean. Because the walrus loves cold stuff. Loves that good cold water.
Ice cream.
It prefers the coldest water it can find, actually. They live in high Arctic regions in the northeastern Canada, in Greenland, between Alaska and Siberia in the Bering Strait area, and north of Scandinavia. So it's like Scandinavia is too warm. Iceland, too warm. I want to go north. They're up in those those islands that have 7 people on them. The hardiest folk of all. They live with the walruses. And because they live up in that Arctic ring, some of it takes them to the Atlantic Ocean, some of it takes them to the Pacific Ocean, and none of it takes them to the Indian Ocean. So let's talk about what this thing looks like.
Let's do that.
If you're in your car and driving...
If you've never seen a walrus before.
We described an octopus in the last episode, so...
A specific octopus.
True. Horse whale doesn't really work, I don't think.
I'm okay with it.
It just doesn't look like horse to me.
I trust Tolkien.
Mustachioed puppy whale definitely works for me.
Because you think all dugongs look like a dog.
They're called pups. They're and they're actually thought to have descended from caniforms, which includes raccoons and skunks.
What?
And foxes. No. That's the thinking. For the same reason that a humpback whale is an
even-toed ungulate.
Ungulate. This is like the same family as hippopotamuses and antelopes. So let's picture this. Wally, which I'll call him Wally Whiskers, he's a huge brown blubbery sack. And that's it.
And that's it.
He's oblong. He has a large split tail at the end that allows him to swim, and it can be turned inwards.
Yeah, those are just full-on appendages, bro.
So that he can kind of like scoot his fat tuchus across the ice. Mm-hmm. It's just like, it's really awkward, and you know that they're not supposed to be there. They're supposed to be swimming.
No. I mean, yes.
But they can be on land. He has 2 front flippers for pushing his manatee head aloft. So he uses his front flippers to swim, but he also uses it on land to just keep his head just stuck straight up in the air. Speaking of his head, it's relatively small compared to his body.
Yeah.
He has a large flat snout with like 2 big, mandibles. Like 2 large flaps of skin make up its
jowls?
upper lip. He has a full Burt Reynolds mustache.
Burt Reynolds?
Burt Reynolds. Which is called vibrissae. Mm-hmm. is the name of the bristles that are on its snout. Even the ladies are impressively mustachioed. Protruding from beneath his glorious stash are 2 long tusks, which are elongated canines. I can't speak.
Yeah.
And they get to be over a yard long. Sorry if that's part of your measure up.
No, it's good.
To top off this ridiculous-looking animal, it has eyes that protrude from either side of its head, allowing it to see all around it, but also making it look like the sloth.
Like a horse.
But they don't stick out from its head.
Horses? Yes.
Like where you could grab it like a tennis ball?
Kind of.
No. And I mean, they're definitely on either side of its head.
Because it allows it to see like almost all the way around it, except for right behind it. That's why you don't stand behind a horse.
Because it can't see you.
And because it gets real nervous.
It'll be like, I feel like there's something back there, so I'm just going to kill it.
Also, that's where I kick the best.
That is my most dangerous position. But it does make it like... There's one picture that I saw on Wikipedia that just makes it look so ridiculous. It is not a cute animal. Even its babies are not cute. Which is not... Like, hippos are ugly, but their babies are cute. You can't say the same about the walrus here. This animal looks like the only thing it knows how to say is, "Ah, yes, quite right." It really shouldn't be shown in public without a pith helmet and a monocle.
But then when you look at those eyes, it's more like, "Ah, yes." Quite right.
Because he shit the sloth.
Yeah.
And so its skin also, its skin really contributes to how ugly this thing is. It's brown and it has patchy fur. And the older they get, the males specifically have disgusting bumps on their skin called bosses. Mm-hmm. And so it becomes like this reddish, almost like light brown, cinnamon-colored series of bumps, like it's a vulture or one of those fallout ducks that we have, the Muscovies, around here in South Florida. It's just so gross. The cartoon image of a walrus is just so much more pleasant to me. So the mustache, as I mentioned earlier, called the vibrissae, is made up of fibers that are supplied with blood and nerves, and they're attached to muscles so they can be moved. And they use this tremendous facial hair to find food and distinguish objects. So a lot like the star-nosed mole, it can tell what the shape of something is just by rubbing its mustache against it. So to find food, Tom Selleck usually rubs his dirty mustache across the ocean floor to forage for crabs, tube worms, coral, mollusks, sea cucumbers, and even the remains of seals. It mostly eats clams, though. Mm-hmm. Bivalvid mollusks is what the name is. They may also actually actively hunt seals on occasion, and some think that they prey on narwhals that are trapped in the ice.
I saw that. That's insane.
It's bananas. Because those have lances on their face.
Yeah.
But I guess the
2 are better than 1.
Yeah. That's not true.
Once you get past that long spike, there's nothing they can do with it.
But except hit you with it.
No.
Except just like brush you aside. But there was a whole Because Science video about Logan, the movie Logan, where Logan has Wolverine. He has 3 claws, but the little girl has 2.
Yeah. And
how that applies. There's so much more penetrating force with the 2 than the 3 because of the way area and cutting works.
Sure.
So yeah,
but
1 is better than 2.
No, because I'd rather have 1 stab wound than 3.
I guess both of them are going to stab you.
Yeah.
But you have a greater chance of stabbing through something that is more difficult to stab through if you have 2 than if you have 3.
Fair.
So when it comes to predators for the walrus, there are only 2 besides man. The orca and the polar bear. And I want to talk about the polar bear because this is epic.
Okay.
The polar bear v. walrus is one of those legendary animal fights. But they're even more evenly matched than other legendary fights, like the sperm whale versus giant squid and mongoose v. cobra. Because in sperm whale versus giant squid, it's almost always the sperm whale who wins, and when in mongoose versus cobra, it's almost always the mongoose who wins. But even though the polar bear is predating on the walrus can fight back pretty fiercely. It's giant. I breezed right by Measure Up.
I was waiting for it.
Well, fine. Let's just do it. I'll go. Well, that was a teaser for the fight to go on, but I don't want to talk about the fight until we know exactly how big this thing is.
Okay, let's do Measure Up. The listener's favorite is part of the show.
Is it a little seal? Can it face a polar bear?
The part of the show that's introduced by you, the listener. It's also the part of the show where I give Carlos a quiz to let you know the size and dimensions of this creature. Episode is going to be introduced by Julia again, but also featuring Laura for the first time.
You were right. Your prediction last episode was correct.
Yeah, because I knew I had it in my inbox.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
You didn't want to just hang your hat on that prescience?
No, I don't know. I don't know what prescience means.
It means foreknowledge.
Yeah. Without further ado, the listener's favorite part of the show.
Measure up, measure, measure, measure up, measure, measure, measure up. Yeah.
I love how creative these are getting.
That was a good little jingle.
Yeah, it was a jam. This is jam session.
It was.
With a baby.
Jam Session with a Baby is the name of my next album.
With the comical stylings of Laura.
Yes. And thank you, Julia.
Thank you.
For writing that song.
It was a great song.
Yeah. Without further ado, I said that already. Let's do it.
Sure did.
Without further ado, let's do.
Do.
Let's start with length. Adult males are usually larger, and they can weigh 2,000 kilograms or 4,400 that's it, pounds.
That is it.
In 2017, one of the largest icebergs in history broke off the Larsen Sea ice shelf in Antarctica. How many male walruses go into the weight of this iceberg?
5,000.
Here's a hint. The iceberg is called the A68, and it travels at the speed of a few dozen miles per year. It's turned toward warmer waters, but it may last several years before it melts.
They gotta come up with better names for this. A68? That's so boring.
Well, it's not long for this. Well, actually, it's several years for this world.
Yeah, they name hurricanes. They're only around for like a week.
That's true.
It could be a really big chunk. It could be like a million tons or something like that. Then my guess of 5,000 would be pitifully low. Well, this thing is 2 tons. A little over. 2 tons.
This iceberg?
No, the walrus.
Okay.
I'm going to say it's 1 million tons. So, 500,000 walrusi. Walrus.
Close.
No, I'm not. Am I?
Well, in a manner of speaking, close.
Close because I used the word, the number 5 is in there?
Yes. Because it is 1 trillion tons.
Oh my goodness.
So it's like
5
billion, yeah.
No,
501 billion. Or
500 billion.
500 billion, yeah.
Wow.
1,000, million, billion.
Trillion tons. I'm so happy I didn't stick with 5,000.
You got a little closer. Let's move on to length. 2.2 to 3.6 meters, or 7.2 to 11.8 feet. Let's round that to 9.5 feet, 9.5 feet.
Okay.
How many walruses go into the length of the Draken Harald Harfagre?
Are you trying to say Scandinavian things?
Yes. I looked it up, but I can't remember. Draken Harald Harfagre. That's not right.
Dragon Harold's heart is gray.
Hargafra. A large Viking longship. That's what it is.
Huh.
Hint.
With shields on the side, like it must be.
I don't know. The ship was built in 2010 and replicates old Viking ships. It was funded by a Norwegian oil company.
So it's not even a replica of an actual ship from back then?
No, it's kind of just bringing the
style back?
ships of old, Viking sagas to life.
Okay. Maybe used in the show Vikings?
Could be.
Maybe. Let's say that's, say it's 50 feet long. So we're going to go with 6.
It is 115 feet long.
Oh, wow. Goodness gracious, that's a
So
long boat.
10 walruses. 35 meters.
That is a long boat. You did say it was a long boat, didn't you?
I did say it was a long boat. A long ship. That's the end of Measure Up.
All right.
Now back for the exciting conclusion of this battle between the forces of nature.
Insert Who Wants to Be a Millionaire music right
yeah,
here.
that's what I was thinking about just now.
All right, so now we're talking. Now you know that we're talking about this almost 4,500 pound, almost 10-foot wall of blubber and tusk and
Wall of
mustache. Wall of Russ. So much Russ. Versus a polar bear, which is also very big. Also almost 10 feet
The
tall.
largest land predator on the earth.
Also, I don't think it's 4,000 pounds.
Sure ain't.
I think it's a lot less than that. I think it
Sure is,
might be
maybe.
about half.
Maybe like 1,000.
But it is better armed.
It has 4.
Also, it's desperate, usually. Usually what a polar bear will do is when it sees a bunch of walruses on the beach, it'll just run up and scare them and hope that some of them will be trampled in the process and then eat those. Or that some calves will be left behind and it'll eat those. But even injured, if a walrus is not killed in the stampede, in the Black Friday stampede, and it's just injured, it can still be a formidable opponent for the polar bear. On land, the polar bear will probably win, even an uninjured one. But in the water,
We'll talk about why that's not true later.
Why it's not true?
Yeah.
Polar bears still win.
We'll find out. Well, I mean, they might. They could. But not against an uninjured. We'll talk about it.
Okay.
It's not a sure thing for sure.
Okay. In the water, it will definitely lose.
Yeah, it's hard to do that.
A lot of there have been several accounts, I'll say, of polar bears being fatally injured in the water by walruses because walruses definitely have the upper hand. They can dive to about 280 feet, which is not that deep for pinnipeds, seal things. But most of their food is in that range anyway, so they don't have to dive very deep. But the point is that once they're in the water, it's lights out for the polar bear. But yeah, that's like a prey predator, even matchup
Yeah.
where you have the most formidable probably land predator versus just this tank with tusks. It's like that one where like a crocodile versus a lion over a wildebeest. It's just like this crazy fight. It would be more like a crocodile versus a full-grown like Cape buffalo, like super dangerous herbivore that counts as prey but can do some serious damage.
Yeah.
All right, but in reality, man is the biggest predator. Also, orcas usually kill
Walruses? Yeah.
They're much, much bigger. They're very ferocious. They hunt in packs, and they only attack in the water. They're more graceful in the water.
But both polar bears and orcas don't have walruses on their main menu.
Right. It's usually too.
It's like you can't make your house burglar proof, but you can make it less attractive to a burglar.
Burglar resistant, like my watch is water resistant.
Yes.
But so really the main source of problems for the walrus is man. By the beginning of the 20th century, they were almost hunted to extinction for their tusks, for their blubber, for their skin, for their meat. Almost every part of the walrus is used. And just a couple quick references to the walrus. Lewis Carroll has a poem in Through the Looking Glass, called The Walrus and the Carpenter, where a walrus tricks a bunch of oyster babies into being eaten. If you've ever watched Disney's Alice in Wonderland, you've seen this little skit. And there are a lot of things that point to the idea that the Beatles song I Am the Walrus is a reference to that walrus as being this like greedy, capitalistic figure that preys on the easily duped.
Yes.
Although there is no consensus because no one knows what that song is about, I personally think it's a bad song.
Well, Let's alienate the listeners.
Oh, no. Even among Beatles songs, it's a bad song. It's really tough to listen to. But that's all I got on the Walrus.
All right, here's some fast facts before we get into the major fact. They can sleep up to 19 hours on land in a single nap. But then they can stay awake for 3 days at sea. That's a lot. Weird sleep schedule.
Yeah.
Their lips and tongue are used to create a vacuum that causes shellfish and clams to explode. And they suck out that meaty goodness, that snotty, like, little disgusting sea booger.
They find them with their mustache and then explode them with their lips.
Yes. The longest tusks makes the highest ranked individual. Like you said, they can grow up longer than 3 feet. And males with the longest tusks command the most respect, but broken tusks can knock you down a few pegs.
I imagine.
Yeah. So without tarrying for much longer, here's the major fact.
Take these broken tusks and learn to fight again. Fight again so free. All right, I'm done.
Walruses have hides so thick it protects them from more than just one class of threat. In August of 1910, a hunter named Jack Woodson shot and killed a 16-foot walrus.
Whoa.
This was a big boy. In fact, he skinned the animal, and its hide alone was 1,000 pounds. That's a lot of weight.
Did they find out how much it weighed altogether?
They estimated the full weight was like 5,000 pounds. Because...
That's not that heavy. Anyway, continue.
That's
That's not that much heavier than the average weight.
So, a walrus skin... so there's a lot of skin on a general walrus. So, a walrus's skin
Wally's.
accounts for about 20% of its overall body weight.
Okay.
For
Gross.
comparison, your skin is about 16% of your body weight.
That's not as much less as I thought it was going to be. I thought you were going to say like 4.
No. Yeah.
We still have heavy skin.
Decent. Yeah, it covers our whole body. So we also have different
We have several
different
layers.
physiology, so it's hard to...
We handle it well.
Yeah. We wear our skin well.
Yeah, we do.
The skin around their neck and shoulders, especially around males, can be 4 inches thick.
Because it's covered in bosses.
Yeah,
Disgusting
disgusting
pustules.
bosses. Your thickest skin is on the palm of your hands, and it's about 1/10 of an inch. So there's a wider
Difference, yeah.
difference for you.
It's like the honey badger.
So, similar to people, walruses need to maintain a body temperature of around 97.9 degrees Fahrenheit. But they live in a climate that sees extremely low temperatures. Plus, they spend a lot of time in water where they lose heat faster than they do on land. Still, they have been observed enjoying a swim in water that is negative 31 degrees Fahrenheit or negative 35 degrees Celsius. When Celsius and Fahrenheit get close together, you know it's cold.
You know it's cold. Or hot.
Their skin is generally at least 4 degrees warmer than the surrounding water. The surface, surface of their skin.
So that's still pretty cold.
Yeah, but
So the surface of
but
this...
like the thing that water is touching is warmer, just being heated.
Yeah.
So here we go. Most mammals that live in colder areas keep warm with multi-layered fur. Like huskies have, I think, 2 or 3 layers of fur.
Maybe the polar bear?
Definitely the polar bear, but the polar bear also have...
We are having a tough time with this.
They also have... I'm trying to go fast. I have so little time. And the polar bear also has blubber. Like the walrus. The walrus is almost completely bald. They have patchy fur. Instead, they keep their heat through a thick layer of fat insulation called blubber. Under their thick skin, they have 15 centimeters or 5.9 inches of blubber.
Whoa, gross.
So there's a long way down to anything that's vital, like bones and organs.
Muscles.
Insulation prevents heat from escaping their body, like giant winter coats that are like all over you and have no way for heat to escape.
There is no opening.
Yeah, there's no zipper. Their blood vessels also constrict to force blood away from their skin towards their internal organs where heat is needed most.
I hear that happens especially when they're swimming and then they they actually turn a pale gray when they're swimming because like the blood is removed from their skin and towards their vital organs.
Gross. So walrus is a difficult word.
Yeah,
to say.
sure is. I'm glad you have to say it more than me.
Their thickness protects them from more than just the cold.
The cold shoulder of death.
Yeah, like we already talked about, the walrus only has 2 natural predators, the orca and the polar bear. Still, walruses aren't typically on the menu for either predator, like we mentioned. Their long tusks make them dangerous for anything.
Yeah. Except for the orca, really, they don't. What I read was that they don't really sustain very much damage when they attack a walrus.
The orca?
The orca, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're huge.
Yeah,
orcas are huge.
They are very large.
So, bears who are desperate for a meal may try to attack an adult walrus. Usually, polar bears will go after the young and use that tactic of scaring and trying to pick off a little one. But a male polar bear might go after an adult walrus, but their hide is really difficult to penetrate. So, a BBC video showed a desperate male bear get injured by a tusk when trying to kill and eat a walrus, despite their 12,000 pounds per square inch bite force and a 2-inch canine. That's what a polar bear has, 2 inches of canine. It couldn't get through the thick skin. So it got onto this smaller, I assume female or juvenile, and went for a kill like predators usually do at the back of the neck. Mm-hmm. But he just got like a chunk of fat and he couldn't get through it. And it just, it was like he would jump on one, try to bite the neck, and it would just kind of like wiggle away. And he would just not be able to do anything, so he'd get off of it and try to go for another one, or try to pry a female away from her baby to get at it, but like they're thousands of pounds. So it was like not a easy scenario.
And just turn around and shank him.
There was another video where there was a female, and she was sniffing one to see if it was dead, and then it turned and looked at her, and she just like, no, I'm not even doing that. Just walked away.
It's like a horror movie where you think the thing is dead and then it opens its eyes. It's like, oh, no, I'm out. I'm going to nope out of here.
Absolute nope.
Nature nope.
Yes. But that's all I got.
All right. That was the walrus. There's a lot more to say about it because it's a ridiculous looking but very fascinating animal and super famous. Everybody knows what a walrus is. Mm-hmm. And now you know what it looks like. So, for you out there in Podcastia, sharpen your tusks. Brush your stash, and keep a healthy layer of blubber on you at all times, like the walrus in Life, Death, and Taxonomy.
Howdy, LDT listeners. Welcome to the end of the episode and the beginning of Season 8. Thanks for joining us for an 8th season. Before the blooper, I would just like to tell you to tell your friends about LDT. Leave a review. It really helps get the word out there. And also, engage with us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all your favorite social media devices, and send us Measure Up intros. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening and engaging.
Life, Death, and Taxonomy is my favorite in the world podcast.
To find food, Tom Selleck usually rubs his dirty mustache across the ocean floor.
Oh my goodness. Coming down hard on the walrus.